What's going on, guys? Got a couple topics to talk about today, but there's one that really caught my attention and something that I think we really need to talk about, and that's mental. Are sports cards therapeutic? Can they help your mental state? It's a good question that someone had, a good topic, and I think it's something we should talk about. So let's try to go rapid fire through a few questions today and just get into the shipping. Let's go. Mr. Fullbeard is the one who brings this up. He says selling cards for him, especially the low-end cards, is therapeutic. Pretty interesting to hear that, and I kind of agree with that. We're going to get into that. He says mail day is the best day, and guys, isn't that always the case? Who doesn't love getting cards in the mail? All right, Mr. Fullbeard, you bring up a great point. Selling cards, even low-end, is therapeutic. I think it shows, like, how much of a hobby this is for us. Even though we're selling and making a little money, it's still just a hobby. When we look at hobbies are things that help us relax, things that help us unwind after work, things that help us calm down from the normal bustle of our day-to-day, our normal running around, our normal hectic lives. And even though we're selling sports cards, this is kind of therapeutic. It lets you relax. It lets you just forget about everything else. You start sorting cards. You get lost in them. You start selling them. You get lost in it. You start shipping them. You get lost in it. It's something that's very therapeutic. And I think the struggling entrepreneur also brings up another good point. He says sports cards are very nostalgic. So yeah, like he says, sports cards are nostalgic. Nostalgia is something that can also be therapeutic. It lets you get lost, lets you think about things. With a hobby like sports cards, when I'm going through these cards, I'm finding cards I haven't seen in years, players I haven't thought about in years, and I start thinking back to my childhood, thinking back to watching those guys play, collecting them as a kid. And when I talk about cards with my son, it's the same thing. I'm telling him stories about guys that I watched play or what those guys did when they played. So it's a hobby that's therapeutic. Hopefully it brings back good memories. In my case, it only does. Sports cards were a huge part of my life growing up, and obviously they still are. But yeah, I mean, I never really thought about the therapeutic part of it. But Mr. Fullbeard, you're right. Selling sports cards, it's kind of therapeutic. It lets you just disconnect from everything. And I think it's a part of the hobby that's not really talked about. It's just the getaway for most of us from our normal everyday lives. And that's not a bad thing. We all need that. So that comment, that's a pretty good one. I really like that one. Something different. So I really wanted to highlight that one. So John has a follow-up to something I talked about a while ago about selling lots versus singles. He says he sells a lot of lots between 3 and 12 cards, player and team. So he wants to know, do I think he's better off stopping lots and selling them as singles? Good question. Let's really talk about that one. So John, that's a pretty good one. If you guys don't know, this goes back to a video pretty far back. This is 6 days ago, and I actually think he was watching one of the older videos, if I remember correctly when I was looking at the comments. In that video, I was talking about how I feel, and when you're doing lots, you're actually getting less per card. You're just getting more money up front. And I'd rather go the other way and get more money per card and take, that slow nickel. So this is a good question because, everything you say in business, there's always a but. So I would prefer to sell singles, get a higher ROI per card. But the way John sells his lots gives you the but. He sells 3 to 12 card lots. 3 to 12 card lots allows you to still use eBay standard envelope. So at that point, selling lots is actually pretty good, and you're actually going to wind up with more ROI than if you sell the single cards. Normally when I've sold like 7 or 8 cards, even if I take dollar offers on every one of the cards, I come out making more money than if I sold those 7 or 8 cards individually, because the 30-cent transactional fee and the shipping on each one. You sell 8 cards, I normally can sell 8 cards and ship them 2 ounce, which is 87 cents. If I mail out 8 cards individually times 63, it's like 504. So you see, you start to save more money and increase your ROI. So John, that is a good one and a good point, because not everything is so black and white. I may have said I prefer singles, but if I can get the lots to be within that eBay standard envelope range of 3 ounces, then I would 100% consider doing the lots over just singles. And it's actually something I'm starting to think about doing now, just to try to, get cards to move a little bit quicker, since we are kind of in a slow period, especially with the holidays coming up. Maybe get some people looking to buy, somebody just a cheap gift of a player they love or the team they love. So it is something I'm thinking about. But if I do those lots, I'd probably keep those under the 3 ounce to get the standard envelope and still make a little bit, a good ROI. So John, that's a good one. You caught me on that one. And guys, I say all the time, my mind is always subject to change based on what I read. And that's just another example. Always learning from me, but I'm always learning from you guys as well.
Anthony asked one of the most popular questions I get, and that is, what kind of shipping labels do you use? And do you have a dedicated printer for those labels and shipping your cards?
Anthony, another great question. What kind of labels are you using, and what do you use to print? This is a question I've been getting asked a lot over the last week. There's quite a few comments asking this. And I'm not surprised, since there's been so many new viewers to the channel. Appreciate you guys all coming in. Had a couple videos pop, so got some new viewers. So I know you guys got some questions that have been asked before. But before I answer that, have you subscribed? If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, because only about 68% of the watchers currently subscribe to the channel. So make sure to do that. What kind of labels do I use, and what kind of printer? I use a Rollo printer. I have it linked in the description below, that and the labels I purchase. They're Amazon links, so if you did happen to go and buy one, I would get a little, commission fee. But buy whatever you like on a thermal printer. I know a lot of people don't buy the Rollo. They actually buy one of the off-brand Rollos, and they work just as well, because, just like most off-brands, they're still made by the same manufacturer. They just charge you more for the name. And obviously I got caught with that with the Rollo, but I absolutely love my Rollo. Had it for over a year and a half now, and I've had no issues with it. The labels I actually use the Rollo branded labels as well. No other people use off-brand labels and have no issues. Some have complained about some off-brands. Other people will tell you, sign up for a UPS business account, because then you can get free labels and not have to pay anything, which you can do as well. On that, I haven't done it. It's just, it's one of those things where I do this as a hobby. I'm not a true businessman. Morally, I can't. I'm not using UPS to ship. So signing up for a business account and using their labels for free is just something I'm not willing to do, just because I don't feel it's right, since I'm not using their service to ship out my stuff. If I was using their service to ship out anything, then hey, all fair. But there's never a case where I've got so many cards that I need to ship it out UPS, so I just don't feel right doing that. But it is an option.
And now D-Man, he wants to talk about eBay standard envelope again. It's a very common topic. He said as of lately, he's been having more people inform him that his cards are saying delivered, but they never arrive. Even days later, which we all know happens a lot with ESC. So that's pretty interesting. He asks if I've recently seen an uptick in that, and if I'm getting those same complaints.
So this is another thing I keep hearing coming up lately is eBay standard envelope. items not arriving or arriving quite a bit after the fact? How do you handle it? Have you been seeing an uptick in these issues? First, I have not seen an uptick. I know some people are saying they are. I have not. I could be lucky. I have had 2 in the last week and a half. But with how much I ship out, I just chalk it up to, cost of doing business. Do I think there will be an uptick over the next 2 months? Yes, I do. Reason? It's Christmas season. And as packages start to increase, we know the U.S. Postal Service starts to slow down. Last year, I didn't have any issues, but that's not to say I will this year. But as of this moment, I have not seen an uptick. So I haven't really had this problem, except for like the 2 that I had in the last week. So how do I handle stuff like that? Because, people have been asking that as well. What I do is I just tell the person, like, hey, this was shipped eBay standard envelope. With eBay standard envelope, you don't get the same level of tracking that you get with a normal package. So if it says delivered, it's probably still at your local sorting facility or on the post office, on the postal truck. Give it a day or 2, it'll probably turn up. Sometimes I've had it where it turns up 4 or 5 days later. So what I normally tell a customer is, say it's Monday. They tell me it says delivered, it didn't come. What if their item's not received, they want a refund? What do I do? I tell them, hey, this isn't your normal tracking. This is something that's business-related mail and only can be scanned by a sorting machine. So they get scanned at your local sorting hub. So sometimes these packages can arrive 2 days to even sometimes 2 weeks after they say delivered or out for delivery. I know, guys, crazy saying 2 weeks, but I think it tells the person, like, hey, this isn't me. You see it says out for delivery. It's at the Postal Service. There's nothing I can do. And then I tell them, but hey, I understand your pain. I understand you want your card. So give it till Monday, or sorry, not Monday. Give it till Wednesday. Today's Monday. And if it doesn't arrive by Wednesday, just reach out to me. Let me know. And we can start an item not received case through eBay, and I'll promptly refund you. Most people respond, okay, awesome, thank you. I have had this issue before, because, most people that are buying eBay standard envelope, they've been purchasing already, so they already know about the issues. But yeah, I do that. You're proactive. You're telling people what you're going to do. And then Wednesday night, if I haven't heard back from the customer, I'll check in. If I forget or I don't have the time, then Thursday, I usually follow up and be like, hey, did the card ever arrive? Sometimes the person will say, yeah, it did, thanks. No, it didn't. Let me go file the refund now request. Sometimes the customer, because I gave them the time and explained what goes on with eBay standard envelope, they say, you know what, let's give it through the weekend. If I don't get it by Saturday, I'll reach out to you. At that point, I usually don't follow back up because I feel like then the customer told me that they're going to be the ones. So I leave it as is. But I do get a lot of customers that will then tell me when the card arrived, or they'll respond and say it did. I have some customers that say, hey, I don't want you to be out the money for something the Postal Service did. Don't worry about it. This is where you get your repeat buyers, guys. Tell them, no, I will gladly refund you because you didn't get your package. And then I'm honest with them. I tell them, eBay Standard Envelope has an insurance policy. I will refund you. If the card still winds up showing up, please enjoy. Once I refund you, I now submit this to eBay for a insurance claim, and I do get my money back. So if the card shows up, you got your card for free. I did get my money back. And most customers have loved that level of customer service. So it's something that, can help you get repeat buyers. Because I feel like when you go to that level, people want to shop with you and they'll come back. So that's what I do. I just tell them to be patient, basically, and just try to keep the lines of communication open. That way they know they're getting good customer service.